Terrific. So we will begin. Why don't you kick us off, Commissioner Wood? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. Hope everyone's staying dry. I want to switch this to a mapping procedure for just where stormwater goes, right?
That would be a different hearing.
Exactly.
Good to see you, Commissioner.
Likewise. So my name is Peter Wood. I'm an advisor and neighborhood commissioner in ANC 1C03 in Adams Morgan neighborhood. I'm a DC resident and also a commissioner, but I also have a PhD in geography and did postdoc in demography. So I feel an academic obligation to at least be somewhat involved in this process. I'm here today to testify in favor of expanding the Ward 1 boundaries. It might seem strange to suggest that Ward 1 should grow during the present redistricting efforts. After all, 2020 census data estimate the population to be 85,285 people, almost identical to the average ward population of 86,193. Most of the recent calls for ward boundary changes have centered on wards 6, 7, and 8, and understandably so. But there are two potential adjustments to Ward 1 I think are important to consider. First, census tracts 42.01 and 43 should be unified in the same ward. This would have S Street Northwest serve as the southern border of Ward 1 from 14th Street to 18th Street Northwest. As a result, Ward 1's population would grow to an estimated 89,800 people, within the plus or minus 4310 range permitted by DC law. Such a change would have multiple benefits. It would reduce the number of divided census tracts. It would further improve the geographic compactness of both wards 1 and 2, and it would help prevent stagnant population growth of Ward 1 compared to other wards. This last point is particularly important when we consider the planning component of redistricting. According to data from the DC Office of Planning, only 57% of Ward 1 is currently not considered part of a historic district. Besides Ward 2 at 42% historic district, no other ward in DC comes close to this number. The next closest would be Ward 4 at 72%, and that's in terms of physical geographic coverage. I bring this up because DC's population continues to grow at a fast rate. Since the 2010 census, DC grew about twice as fast as the US population. If our future growth resembles anything similar, Ward 1 will have a particularly difficult time because of restrictions on construction imposed by historic districts. One possible response to this idea is that Ward 2 should not shrink in order to grow Ward 1. The problem with this argument is that Ward 1 has significantly more limited opportunity for growth due to horizontal and vertical barriers. Ward 1 has the smallest area in the city with a dense 2.5 square miles of territory, which makes opportunities for new housing more limited than even Ward 2, which is nearly 3.5 times larger than Ward 1. I have no interest in building housing in Rock Creek Park, and unless something changes to allow taller buildings, moving Ward 1 south makes sense. Further, these census tracts, 42.01 and 43, are similar to the neighboring tracts in ANC 1C, roughly 2/3 white and roughly 2/3 renters. But let's say this idea is deemed unfavorable. A suitable alternative is to reassign the western segment of census tract 23.02 to Ward 1. Specifically, the area west of North Capitol Street, where the Armed Forces Retirement Home, MedStar Washington Hospital, and Children's National Hospital sit, would make a suitable addition to Ward 1. On its own, this addition would make Ward 1's population an estimated 85,985 people. Combined with the aforementioned addition of tracts 4202 and 43, which is my preferred approach, Ward 1's population would total 90,500 people. And much like those tracts, 2302 shares similar demographics to adjacent tracts already in Ward 1. These additions would extend political boundaries to better reflect the people living in these areas. Because of its density, history, and location, redistricting Ward 1 is a matter of subtlety. But as other wards see construction cranes and new building facades go up, we need to ask ourselves, what are the risks of Ward 1 sitting idly? Change is an inevitable part of life, and population trends are no exception. I hope my testimony today shows how responsibly expanding our ward will equip us to gracefully balance our rich past with the changes of a bright future. Thank you.